Hello everyone, it's Tuppence. Resiners have kindly asked me to try this Dual Head Resin Mixer, and I'm really looking forward to that because I do get cramp in my hands sometimes when I'm mixing up the resin, and I mix it way too fast. I put a whole world of bubbles in it. So I'd be interested to see how this works and whether it's going to save me time and hand cramping. That is gorgeous holographic top. I'm pretty sad that it's a little bit scuffed because I would have used that somehow in resin. So I'm going to grab a knife and open this tape. And you can see what this looks like. Let me see if I can just zoom you out a little bit. There you go. I've got my cup of tea there, which is always important. Right, so it comes with a booklet and a warranty card. Booklet's going to give you all the tips and tricks and instructions for using. So I will have a quick read of that in a minute. Let's grab it out. So you've got a screwdriver and some little bits of screws and things there. And that's a USB-C to USB-A cable, and that I presume is the paddle arms. Pop those on the side, and this is the paddles. So I'm hoping, and I'm presuming because they've come in a separate box, that you can buy more of these. I will check that and open those in a minute. We've got a base. Let me just get everything out of the box and then we can have a look at it. And that's the top. Move that out of the way. So that was pretty well packaged. I do love this colour, this kind of pale aqua colour. Right, so that's the charging port on the back. Pop that down. And there's a mat here. Grab that out. Right, I'm going to pause that for a second. All right, got rid of all that packaging so you don't have to listen to that noise. So the mat sits on there quite nicely. Okay, so this is a telescopic arm. Does it matter which one you put in? I should read this. Okay, so you put that in, and there's a dot there and a dot there, and you twist. Okay, so do the other one. So same thing. Get these little lugs that are on the side, match those up, push that in, and the dot is lined up, push down and twist. Okay, and that's locked. And then that is going to sit. There's little buttons here on the side. You just got to push those in as you're pushing down. So I need two hands to do that. Have I got them in the right way? Might not have it in the right way. Oh, no, that's it, it's on. Okay, well that was fairly easy. So the screwdriver and the screws are to be fitted in here. You just put the little screws in the bottom and tighten those up, and it holds these legs in place. And then you've got these little cover-ups for the screw holes. So you just take the tape off and then put them in the little holes, just to cover up your screw heads so that they don't scratch or get damaged. in case you ever have to take this apart, I guess. So there you go. Right, that is now fully equipped. So there is this little button on the back, which is what you press in, and you can lift the lid up and down. So I'm pressing that in, and then you can raise this up and down. And you've got the buttons on the front, which when I put the paddles in, you'll be able to control each side independently. Let me go open the paddles. Right, here's the box. So you get a small paddle, and in fact actually you get 2 small and 2 large. That's really good. Okay, I'm going to lay this down on the back here. Let me raise this up a little bit first. Okay, so you take the paddle and you've got these little lugs. You push them in and you keep pushing until it clicks. And that's it. So there we go. And then you will turn on by the button, and you can turn it around. So you can have both going or just one, and it obviously works. It's not plugged in, so it is rechargeable. There is a USB-C port at the back, and you just plug your cable in and that will charge it up. So might as well mix up some resin, give this a trial and make something. Back in a minute. So mine is still charging. I'm going to be using this smaller paddle. I wouldn't use this one because my cable's right near it, but this is for up to 8 ounces, and if you've got about 16 ounces of resin, then you use the bigger one. Each one of these indicator lights is equal to 25%, so this is charging the last 75% to 100%, which is quite cool. Right, so I have got the resin in here. I'm poking that button at the back, or pushing it in, and I can pull this upwards. Try and make sure that that is centered, and then drop that paddle down until it is kind of in the middle, and then I need to turn this on. Off we go. I think that's probably fast enough. There is no timer on this, so you are going to have to time this, but at least you can get on with something else. Just set a reminder on your watch or whatever you happen to have, and come back to this. So once this is finished mixing, I'm going to add my pigments and I'm going to pour my pot. See you then. Okay, so my timer is up, so I'm going to turn this off now, and I'm going to lift this up. Just going to let that drain off for a little bit. In fact, actually, I'm going to very gently turn that on. Let that drain off there, just for a minute. If I have any criticism, it's that that doesn't stay. Even though I've released that button in the back, this does not stay in position. So yeah, that I think would be a benefit if it could stay upright once you let go of it. So I have to keep hold of it. So I'm going to quickly shift that out the way and pop that underneath, and I'll let that drip into that while I'm doing what I got to do. Okay, so it's out of the mixer, and it does look nice and mixed. It doesn't look like it's got many bubbles, but you do need to give it a stir, scraping around the edges and across the bottom, just for about 30 seconds, which is a whole world of difference than having to do for 3 to 4 minutes as you would normally. So that I am loving. And I am amazed how few bubbles there are in here, because believe you me, once I've got through to mixing it, there are so many bubbles in here. So gently scraping around the edge, just make sure that there isn't any resin that didn't get mixed in. Okay, I think that's probably pretty good. Doesn't look streaky or anything. Great. So I've got this little pot mould which I got from Temu, and I'm going to pour some of my resin here. So I think I said, but I've mixed up 4 ounces of resin. So I'm going to try and get it about roughly half and half. There's a little bit more in there, that's fine. So I'm going to put some, clean off my fingers a bit. I'm just going to put some blue pigment in. So I want this to be a transparent blue. Try 1 drop and see what colour I get from that. Mix that in. Yeah, that's blue enough. I don't need that any deeper than that. Put that lid on so I don't knock it over. And make sure I mix that colour in. Now, it does say that you can do that. You can do the mixing of the colours in on there, but personally, I don't think I'd want to. I don't know. Some pigments can stain your paddles and your silicone tools and things. So, yeah, I think I'm going to stick with just mixing the pigments in by hand, but that is an option, obviously. Okay, that's great. Now for this one, I've got some silver flakes, so I'm going to add some of those and break them up in there. Now these are particularly clumpy, so try that amount first. Get it off my gloves and mix that in. Now I've never poured this mould before, so I don't know how much resin it's going to take, and it may need more than this. It probably will. I will probably have to pour some more for the lid. I don't know if I've got enough even for the pot. If I haven't, it's not a chore. I'll just quickly mix up some more, let the mixer do its thing, and we're all good. So these are still a little bit bigger than I want, so I'm just going to continue to try and break these up, pounding it a little bit with my stick and squishing them against the side. I will probably be introducing some bubbles in here. That can't be helped, and I don't have a debubbler, but you could pop this in one of those. It's pretty hot here at the moment, so I'm hoping that will degas. And again, I don't know if I mentioned, this is craft resin that I'm using. So, ready to pour. Let's start with some of this. Let that trickle down the sides. I think I'm definitely going to have to mix up some more. All right, and now I'm going to pop some blue in. Back to the glitters. And then the blue. So I'm reckoning I probably should have done about 5.5 ounces for this part of the pot alone. 6 I think would probably be enough for both of them. So I am going to have to mix up some more, but that's fine. I'm going to let my mixer go ahead and do the mixing. Right, I've mixed up a little bit more, and I've got some more flakes in there. Just want to make sure I'm going to get some in the lid too. So I'm going to pour some in there. And then I can pour the rest of this in here. I managed to grind this up a lot smaller. Okay, so add a little bit of blue to this. One drop. I want to make sure that there are no streaks in here and that this is all solid blue. So I can pour some into my lid. And then I'll pour the rest into the pot, top that up, and I've mixed up more than I need, which is fine because I want to pour something else. I've got a little bit too much in there, scoop some of that out. And then I can go ahead and grab my other mould. I'm going to pour this Sun and Moon mould, and I only really want to pour the faces. The lid of this pot is nice and flat and pretty square, so I think I can use this as a medallion and fit it on the top. Because this mould is intricate and this resin is getting a little bit thick now, I'm just going to use a microbrush stick to remove any bubbles that might be clinging to the surface. Okay, so while these are all curing, I've taken this out. It's been sitting in the pot for a while, and I've just got some a paper towel with some alcohol on, and I'm just wiping off any of the resin. And then this is ready to go again the next time. Easy to clean, but there you go, all done. These are ready to demold, and I'm going to do the Sun first. Now, I knew that there were going to be some overspill, but they're still soft here, so I can easily trim these off. I'm just going to use a pair of scissors, and then that should fit on the lid. Let's do the lid now. That looks lovely. I can't see any bubbles, and you can see what I mean about that lovely flat surface that I can decorate. That's going to fit perfectly well once I get rid of these extra pieces around the outside. Lovely. Okay, the pot. This one is a little tougher. You just need to break the seal. So once you get your thumbs in there, you can use some soapy water if you like, but once you roll part of it back and get the rest of it rolled back, it pretty much comes off easily. Twist the middle, and there you go. Turn your mould back the right way as soon as you can. Okay, let's have a look at it. That's looking lovely. I got a pretty good distribution of the silver through there, and I can't really see any bubbles. That is the flakes that you're seeing in there. I love this clear little bit at the top. I knew I wasn't going to get the different clear and blue. The blue would mix all the way through. I just wanted the flakes to be able to distribute through it, which I've got, so that's great. And yeah, love it. Okay, try the lid on. That looks lovely. And once I clean this up, I'm going to highlight this with some chrome markers, and you'll be able to see it a little bit better. So let's go do that. The resin is still fairly soft, and these are very thin, so I can just use a pair of scissors to trim them off. Just follow the pattern round, and then this will fit on my lid. I'm going to use some chrome markers. I've got a gold and a silver. Gold for the sun, obviously. I am applying a little bit and using my finger to smush that in. I can clean that off with alcohol afterwards. And silver for the sun, same thing. Just picking up all of the ridges and the relief. I'm using a brush to get into any areas that I couldn't reach with my finger on the sun because it is slightly lower than that moon. I'll let this dry and then I can stick it on. And to clean the brush, I've got a little bit of isopropyl alcohol in there, and I can swish the brush around and just dry it off on a paper towel, and that'll be ready for next use. I'm going to use some super glue to apply this to the top. So I'll put a blob in the middle of the lid, and then I can place the medallion on top. I'm just going to press this gently in place until this sets, and then leave it for a little while. It does work pretty quickly, and then I'll be able to take some photos of it. I think this is really lovely. I love this mould, and I am so happy with that mixer. I really don't have bubbles in this at all, and normally I would have beaucoup bubbles because I mix the resin far too quickly. So thank you very much to Resiners for letting me try this. If you would like to get your hands on one, please check out my description box below and you will find a discount code that you can use. If you've liked this video, please give me a thumbs up, comment, share and subscribe if you haven't. It is free and it will help my channel, and you'll be able to come back and see what I'm going to be making next time. If you're watching on the TV, there is a QR code on the screen and you can scan that with your phone and it will allow you to subscribe to my channel. Until next time, thank you so much for watching and take care. Bye.